Minister, I don't have questions and answers. I'd like to make a broader statement, particularly because of your senior cabinet position and your broader knowledge based on your previous Department of Business and Enterprise. But I'm sure, like myself, Ministers, you've both had inundated with calls and queries and worries from retailers at various stages over the last year or so. And I think we must now look at how to support these retailers to remain open in the medium to long term and to try and keep as many people in employment as we possibly can. I believe there needs to be examined in an interdepartmental way the fallout, which will have huge consequences, Ceann Comhairle, for both Ministers' departments of Social Protection and the Department of Rural and Community Development. Unfortunately, it looks as though we will be closed for a number of months, at least before most retail outlets will be permitted to reopen. But now is the time we need to be preparing for our support system, and I believe it would be very irresponsible and even maybe immoral if the government just cast these businesses to one side with no support to help them get back on their feet. County Wexford is one of the hardest hit counties in Ireland. Our unemployment rate is now the 5th highest in the country. A large percentage of the jobs in County Wexford are in the retail, tourism and hospitality sectors. Businesses have gone to great lengths to satisfy government's requirements over the last year, and most were very concerned when their businesses were ordered to close. And to compensate for their inconvenience, government must be there with the support system. This means there needs to be clear engagement with the sector so that we don't end up with thousands of people stuck on the PUP because of a lack of support to businesses. And the narrow scope of the COVID Retailers Support Scheme, the CRSS, COVID Restriction Support Scheme, is partly responsible for the number of PUP claimants from the sector. Wholesalers, catering businesses, entertainment sectors, they're all left out of the CRSS. The other issues which many retailers face are stocking issues. Take the boutique sector, for example. They're rolling stock over, whilst trying to pay on finance for the next season. Many of these boutiques will have ordered spring stock for 2021 at the end of summer 2020, and it's been bought and paid for, and yet they can't open. They will also be buying stock for next winter shortly, and it's just a continuous cycle. Many are now having to pay VAT and even, in some cases, delivery increases massively because their supply is coming from the UK. These are the realities facing the retail sector, and we need a plan to support the businesses in dealing with issues such as I have outlined, such as those that are outside the scope of the CRSS. And there are anomalies in the CRSS, and now is the time to examine them and sort them out. The scheme needs to be broadened, Ceann Comhairle, and the Minister's Department surely can identify which sectors people are signing onto from the PUP. For the PUP. We need to ensure the anomalies are addressed and that the support is available to see the jobs remain sustainable. I recognise that this might be a short-term cost burden for the department, but if we allow these problems to develop, it will be a far greater cost in the long run, with jobs and businesses collapsing. The problem is very much linked to rural development. It is becoming increasingly difficult to run a town centre business in rural Ireland, and COVID has made that an even bigger challenge. Those facing the gravest challenges are also those on public supports. The variety of community projects that are vital to rural Ireland now struggling to survive. One such project close to my heart in New Ross is St Michael's Theatre. They can't access the EWSS nor the CRSS. They're generating no income, and their public funding falls far short of what's needed if they're to survive this extended lockdown. There was no system in place to adjudicate cases outside of the CRSS beyond revenue, and having all of these people been accommodated, we may look forward to the future with many more businesses able to reopen. But to conclude, Ceann Comhairle, I understand that this is a very fast-moving situation. It isn't always possible to get everything right. I understand how hard the department staff are working, and I concur with my colleague Willie O'Dea in saying that we have had great support from the social protection staff in our local offices. And I just ask the ministers to consider that when bringing it back to Cabinet. Thank you.